Oh wow! Well, there you go, folks. That's some old school wilderness work there. If you're thinking, hell with that, bring out a chainsaw and get that done in a minute. Well, wilderness areas in the U.S. don't allow chainsaws or anything with a motor on it. I don't know if that's strictly because of fire. Chainsaws, small engines like that tend to throw sparks occasionally. Although, there are spark arresters in the world. So it could be that, or it could just be the more pristine nature of the wilderness areas, where the noise would be, disturbing to the local wildlife. I'm not sure exactly what the main reason is, or there's probably a few of them. When I say wilderness area, I actually mean that as an official designation. So there are, of course, national forests that don't have that restriction, because the national forest or national park is more open to the public, and it doesn't have the same restrictions. But within a national forest system, there are areas that are designated as wilderness areas, and those are especially protected from outside influences and things. So the wilderness areas wouldn't have like big, huge parking lots and amenities for all that kind of car camping type stuff or tourist travel. Again, I think is mostly to preserve the area and the ecosystem. But occasionally you'll see a crew out here using the old school cross-cut saws like that. It's hard work. And God knows we have all climbed over, sometimes dangerously, crawled under on our hands and knees some of these blowdowns, and we appreciate every single tree that's cut and moved out of our path, that's for sure. So thanks to them for that. In the meantime, welcome to day 138. Today's big event is Trail Magic up ahead at the Mike Urick Cabin. And the Trail Magic is being hosted by a guy named Ribman. If you've been following along on these videos, you'll know that I first encountered Ribman at Shelter Cove, where he invited all the thru hikers over to his cabin and made ribs, tri-tip, just the works. Just had everything there. It was beautiful. And then when we left the next day, Sandman, Sandstorm, myself, and Guardian, we had made it about 20 miles and gotten to a place called Irish Lake, and lo and behold, there he was again. He's been traveling with his wife. His wife is named Cool Breeze, and she is out here hiking, doing section hikes at the PCT, and he's supporting her and following her around. And in the meantime, wherever he stops, he sets up a little trail magic. So today at this cabin, it was a 10-mile distance from camp, and he's supposed to be there, and everybody is talking. It's the talk of the town. So everybody's looking forward to some good Ribman offerings. It'll be good to see him again. This will be the third time I've been a beneficiary of his generous nature, so I always appreciate that. The funny thing about this cabin we're going to now, it's called the Mike Urick Cabin, and there have been a few of these across the trail, and typically they're owned by the Sierra Club, and they are used as winter ski huts or things like that. Some of them you can actually rent them from the Sierra Club and have this real interesting cabin experience. And but But this one is famous because in 2022, there was apparently a huge outbreak of norovirus on the trail. Norovirus is a gastrointestinal bug, and it is typically passed through touching surfaces, and there's no two ways around this. It's caused by unhygienic activity. So people go into the bathroom, not washing their hands, touching things. And the great story is that the Department of Health, it got so bad that the Department of Health came out trying to find the source of it. And they determined that it was in, around, or at this cabin. And the story goes that they discovered essentially fecal matter on every single surface that they swabbed inside this cabin. So, it's so fantastical. It just makes me laugh at it. But so the comments are full of, funny names like the poopy cabin and don't touch anything and don't breathe the air. But that's where we're going. So, typically in these situations where there's a lot of people and a lot of food around, most of the thru hikers kind of get it. There's always usually often a little hand washing station, or people wash their hands, and techniques like you don't reach into a bag of potato chips with your hands to grab your chips, you pour, right? So those are the kind of things that when you're in a group and nobody wants to get sick, so you try and keep things as clean as possible. But anyway, minor kind of funny story. Nobody really is worried about that too much. Most people are just thinking about hot dogs and cheeseburgers and whatever else might be on offer. Truth is, we don't have much expectations for these trail magics. We don't, I never get a sense of entitlement that anybody should get some kind of meal or anything. Most people are happy to sit down on a chair and drink a Coke. If that's all there was, everybody would still be pretty happy about it. So, but knowing Ribman, it's going to be a little better than that. Yesterday, I made a video at the end of the day, and sometimes I'm trying to remember things that happened in a day, and I'll pass by some event or whatever, and I just won't even think about it. But yesterday was partially a little bit more adventurous for me, because while I was making the first video of day 137, I was passing by Sheep Lake, and there were a lot of day hikers around. There was a lot of distractions, and I kept talking, and I just kept walking and talking, and I went right past Sheep Lake. And that's important because Sheep Lake was the last water for something like, 7 or 8 miles. And that's a bad screw up on my part. It also just turned out that after all this cool, foggy weather, that yesterday was probably the hottest day that we've had in Washington. And I was hiking along fairly exposed hills and mountains. And I had about a half a liter of water. Maybe a little bit more, actually. So not an emergency, I was not in any real danger of being so dehydrated that anything bad was going to happen, but it was uncomfortable. And you don't like making those kind of mistakes when it comes to water, because, there's almost no distance you can't go if you've got enough water. But so, YouTube almost killed me. But, I made it through the day. I just kind of rationed, drank a little bit, kept eating a little bit. And I was fine. Got to this cold piped spring about 3 miles before the camp. And I'll tell you, boy, that was glorious just to sit there, and I drank an entire liter, and that water was ice cold. And I practically gave myself brain freeze just drinking so much. Felt great. So that was my little added interesting part about yesterday. But so today it's once the trail magic is over, there's actually another decent distance without water, and it's going to be another dry camp. So I'm going to have to do another, I think, 3-mile full water carry, which is somewhere around 10 pounds of weight on the pack for me, for the capacity that I have. And that's really harsh, actually, especially if you have to climb any hills at the end of the day, which this trail always makes you climb a hill to get to camp, seems like. Once we're at camp, I think my plan for Snoqualmie Valley is to do 3 18-mile days in a row, and that's kind of nice. The first day of 20 and the second day of 22 set me up for 3 pretty nice days, 3 pretty nice mileages. 18 is pretty nice. That's just before when things start really getting sore and tired. And what that will do is set me up for a really early Tuesday morning entry to Snoqualmie Pass. And that's a wonderful thing, because when you get to a resupply stop, especially if you're just doing a Nero, meaning you're just getting in and then staying overnight and then leaving the next day, you're not getting a full day there. But getting in early makes it feel like a full, complete day off, because you're there all day long. It's not real great when you get to a resupply stop and you get in at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There's so many chores you have to do and so many things you got to get done, that it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like any real rest. So that's the plan. Tuesday happens to be a day when there's a possibility of rain, so it'll be nice to be indoors. And then after that, the next target would be Stevens Pass and the town of Leavenworth. So until then, it's off to the trail magic. I got this whole group of people behind me. I've been camping with them the last 2 nights. It's a fun group. A lot of laughs, so that's kind of cool. And we're all looking forward to this, so maybe I'll do a video later. For now, goodbye.